Yeah, I'd say it's time. Look at them, because the organic produce is not immune to losing nutrients. I know. Yeah, we're getting some more cold weather. And because of that, I want to fix the greenhouse a little bit. What's growing in there right now isn't particularly sensitive to the cold, but I've got to fix the greenhouse anyway. Look at all this nice fluffy grass. Oh my goodness. There's even clover. Oh, look at him go. Had to come out here and retrieve the ladder. Levi was using this to scale the fence for hunting season. Don't need to anymore, at least until squirrel season, right?
Yeah, which I do want to go look for pig.
You want to look for pig?
Yep.
Wild boar season all the time?
Yeah, they basically the position is get rid of them.
Okay. Our neighbor said that they saw on his game camera. He saw on his game camera wild boar. Watch for spiders.
Yep.
Do you see it? It's further down. It's on the other side. Yeah. See how big it is? What do you think caused that? Do you think it was the cat?
I don't know.
So I've purchased some very large greenhouse repair tape, and ideally we would repair this from the outside, but I have the shade cloth over the greenhouse. I don't plan on taking it off anytime soon, so we decided just to tape it from the inside. Water.
I can't reach that from up top anyway, not without a cherry picker.
Well, I can't remember when we had to repair this side over here.
That's a lot lower down.
It is lower down. We had the neighbor's tractor. Was it the neighbor's tractor or ours?
I don't remember, but we put a pallet on the loader attachment, the fork attachment.
That was pretty exciting. Even though some rain will come in at this tape, I think it's wide enough to help kind of hold, at least for now. Next year should be the year that we completely replace the plastic. That might change if this holds up really well. I might take it out another year. We put this greenhouse in 2020, I think, is when the plastic went on. It was 2020, right? Or 2021?
21.
Okay, 2021. I think so too. So it's been on for enough time. They usually say you get about 4 years out of the plastic, 4 to 5, and so it'll be about that by the time it needs replacing. But we'll get as much time with it as we can.
Sticks to itself a little too well. What caused that one spot, unless it was a plant had grown up and was sitting on it and cooked and deteriorated the plastic.
No.
No? I have no idea, because the rest of it, nothing else looks dry rotted like that.
Does it look dry rotted? Is that what it looks like?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't look like claws really.
Okay.
And it's not a clean tear, obviously. Yeah, it looks like it just disintegrated in the sun, or started to, and then tore apart under tension.
That would be what would happen to the greenhouse plastic over time. It would just degrade in the sun. All right, looks good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now we have a bunch of this stuff. I think I'm gonna store it inside my house though. I had some greenhouse repair tape that I stored in here, and because it was in the sun and in the elements, this will degrade just as fast as the plastic, so I can keep this out of the sun, and fluctuating temperatures, it'll make this last longer. Hey, handsome. Oh my gosh, I just saw another split. Can you see that right there? Yeah, I'd say it's time to replace the plastic. That's for sure. I've retrieved Levi. He has the height that I don't, and probably the coordination. But I recently got a question about whether or not a greenhouse is worth it, or is it kind of a money pit. So just like really with most garden spaces, especially if you're going to have raised beds or if you have to truck in soil, garden setup is expensive, and setting up this greenhouse was expensive. Now we bought it using a stimulus check, which is one of the reasons I couldn't remember what year we put it up in. But we got the biggest one that the check would afford us, and we have added things like vents and fans over time. But I'd say that it's not more expensive than setting up a garden in general, and it kind of depends where you are and what your needs are, whether a structure like this is worth it. Oh, right there. Now it's in the middle of the pole, in the middle of the arch. It's precarious. We're not doing this the correct way. We're just trying to limp it by for cold-loving brassicas. Look at them. Aren't they gorgeous? Now, before you go, let's look for some more. So our farm is in southwestern Kentucky, and it's pretty mild here as far as winters go, and because of that we are able to grow quite a lot of food. We already have a really long frost-free season. It's right around 200 days, which really is almost perfect if you ask me. But honestly, our family really likes to eat cold-loving vegetables. We really love things like carrots and other root vegetables, the brassicas like broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. These are things that we bought tons of when we were shopping at the grocery store. Yes, the regular grocery store. We still do some shopping for sure, but we tend to go to the local Amish markets where they do sometimes have fresh things, but it's a very limited. They only sell their excess. But we can get things like, I can get juicing carrots, which, you know, they're not the best flavor. I can get potatoes. Usually I can get onions and garlic, kind of the basics. But for stuff like this, we would have to travel a little further, and it would be, you know, just conventionally grown, which is fine. But what we're able to grow and produce here really is superior quality. So when we're talking about whether something is worth it, we personally are not necessarily comparing what we're growing to what you can buy at the grocery store, because they're not the same thing. When you harvest any kind of vegetable, for the most part, the second that you harvest it, it starts losing nutrition. And so if you've got something that's been on the grocery store shelf for a week, maybe 2 weeks, it has lost a lot of its nutritional quality. And when we grow things at home, we know what goes into the soil, and so we know what goes into the food, and so that makes us feel good. And so this kind of stuff is more akin or in line to something like an organic produce at the store. But to be honest, it's even better, because the organic produce is not immune to losing nutrients once it's picked. This really is the best quality that we could ever ask for. And I have grown plenty brassicas outside of a greenhouse environment before. The things that we contend with most here are very fluctuating temperatures. Will be 70 degrees one day and then 20 degrees at night a couple days later. That's what's happening this week, and that can be really hard on not only the animals on our homestead but on the plants. They need to have some adjustment period, because even a cold loving plant, if you smack them with a lot of cold all at once, they don't have that time to adjust, it can kill them. So this greenhouse really helps with that adjustment period, and when the cold weather finally does settle in, it allows us a little bit of season extension for these plants, where we can kind of get them out a little bit longer, and we can also start our spring and summer garden a little bit earlier, and so that has paid off and been really nice. Another thing that we deal with a lot here are bugs, and that's most of the year. I am actively experiencing aphids in the greenhouse right now. Right now I'm not doing anything about that, but let's say I had something going on like caterpillars. I was dealing with caterpillars this year on the tomato plants that we've had. I very frequently deal with tomato hornworms just about every year. And when they are on the plants that are here in the greenhouse, generally I just have to do one application of BT and that's it for the season. The plants are good, because one of the benefits about having a covered garden like this, not just the shade cloth, which has its own benefits, but the plastic itself, that means that I don't get a lot of rain or heavy dew hitting the plants, washing off these organic treatments that I've put on for different pests and things. And so that saves money and it saves time and energy. And when I'm able to spend less time picking off things like hornworms or reapplying things like BT, I'm able to spend my time elsewhere, which is valuable. The last thing that I deal with a lot here is wind. When our springs come in, they come in hard, and when fall leaves and winter comes in, that also comes in really hard. And so even if I had stable temperatures that I could deal with, or temperatures that gradually, you know, went down to cold or went up to warm, the wind here can snap off a plant so easy. It is not unusual for us to get 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts during the change of season. And that's not only gonna wick moisture out of the beds that we have, it will easily snap off plants and essentially render them useless, depending on what the plant is. So obviously I can't speak for everybody, but for us, the greenhouse was well worth it. Like any garden space, there is an investment in upfront cost. I did look up the cost of replacing the plastic, and the plastic that goes over the top of the greenhouse for a 40-foot wide section that would drape all the way down over the side, it's about $500 from Growers Solution. And if it lasts 4 or 5 years, it's about $125 a year, which is well worth it. Again, it's the upfront cost and like the labor to put it up. My husband and I put this greenhouse up ourselves, but then after that, like the maintenance isn't bad at all. Now I say that, and we haven't had to actually replace the plastic on the greenhouse yet, but it wasn't really hard to put up. You do need a couple people, especially when you're dealing with a big piece like this. When we put up the greenhouse, our kids were real small and they couldn't help so much, so we had, you know, aunts, uncles, friends, they came and helped us. And really it goes up pretty easy, and I imagine it can come down even easier. But we'll be sure to take you along when it comes time to replace the plastic. We do need to wait until we're having moderate temperatures and relatively windless days, which is hard to come by at the same time. Like I mentioned, springtime is full of wind, but that's when we've got kind of a median temperature around 70 degrees is when we want to put the plastic on, because this plastic, when it heats up, it'll expand, and when it cools down, it'll contract. So if we can put up the plastic when it's kind of at its mid-range, that's going to be better, so that the expanding and the contracting doesn't cause something like the splits that you're seeing now. And the only reason that we're seeing those now is because the plastic has been in the sun for almost 5 years at this point. So yeah, if you have any questions about greenhouse growing or growing in general, I'm happy to answer them. You can put them down below. This isn't a heated greenhouse, so I can't really speak to that, but high tunnels in general, I've got a little bit of experience with them. So if you have questions, ask them. I'll see you guys again soon.